Welcome to the Clique podcast. I'm Dani Watson, a mindset and manifestation expert and founder of the Clique, a company that helps women overcome their fears and limiting beliefs to create a life and business that they love. Within this podcast, I will help you get clear on what you want, identify the blocks that are holding you back, transform your mindset and raise your vibration so that you can co-create magic with the universe. If you are looking to design a life that truly sets your soul on fire and manifest more success and abundance, then you are in the right place. Hello ladies, and welcome to a brand new week and a brand new podcast episode. I'm going to be continuing on with the theme from last week, in that I'm going to be answering the questions that I've been receiving from you ladies. Definitely keep them coming. I absolutely love receiving your questions, and everything that I get through to my inbox, I'm going to make sure I will be covering on this podcast. So you can reach out to me at Dani_Watson_coaching. So where I want to go with this episode then is a question that I've been asked around actually creating enough space in your day to be able to commit to the inner work. So this person says, "Hi Dani, I've just read your book and I absolutely loved it, and I can't wait to start diving into some of the exercises that you teach within your book. I've been doing a lot of reading and research recently around manifesting, around personal development, and one thing that I am finding really difficult is actually being able to find the time within my day to do all of the things that I want to do to support me on my spiritual path. Do you have any suggestions for this?" This is such a good question, mainly because I definitely hear my own concerns in this question when I first started embarking on a spiritual path. Because when I first discovered the world of law of attraction and really got into personal development, I was still in a full-time job, and I was in a job that was commanding 60 to 70 hours a week of me. And when I started to discover all of these different rituals and exercises and tools that I knew could really help me, I just wanted to spend all of my time doing mindset work. I wanted to just read the books, listen to the podcasts, watch the YouTube videos. I wanted to journal, create vision boards. I wanted to just spend all of my time doing all of those things. And it was really frustrating because I didn't have all of that time. The only time I really had was the time before I went to work and the time when I came back from work in an evening. And that was actually a really short space of time. I had my weekends as well, of course, but I definitely didn't have as much time as what I would have liked. So I definitely resonate with this question. And I've definitely got some tips to help with this as well. My first piece of advice would just be to actually reframe how you are thinking and talking about time. So time, like with anything, when it comes to manifesting more of something, what we experience is based on what our current energy around that thing is. So like with money, if we think about and talk about money in terms of lack, that's what we're going to experience more of. So the same applies to time as well. Now you might be thinking, well, how can I actually create more time by talking as if I've got a lot of time? Talking about time in abundance. How do I create an abundance of time? Because I can't physically create more time. It's not scientifically possible. But actually, what you will find if you start to reframe how you think and speak about time and be really intentional about talking about time as if you have an abundance of it, you will find that magically it will feel more space is created throughout your day. Okay, and you will find that when you approach things, rather than approaching things from this very panicked energy, this feeling of I don't have enough time, I wish I had more time, from this place of lack, you will find you approach things in a much more calm and relaxed way. And the beauty of that, when you feel like you've got all of the time in the world, you actually find that you get so much more done in such a shorter space of time. You create bigger leaps in a much shorter space of time. So a really good example actually to illustrate my point on this was when I was writing my book, and I would find that if I sat down and I told myself, right, I've only got half an hour to write something and I need to, really get stuck into this and write as quickly as I can because I only have 30 minutes. I would find that in that space of lack, when it came to time, I was just stuck. I couldn't write anything. It's that thing, writer's block. I would freeze, I would panic. My creativity would just become completely stagnant. I wouldn't be able to manifest a great outcome from that session because I was seeing time from this lack mindset. Yet when I would sit down at my desk and I wouldn't put any sort of time pressure on myself, and I would just say to myself, I've got all of the time in the world to do this. I can go at the pace that I want. I can relax into this. There's no pressure, completely take that fear around time away. I would find that words would just flow easily. Creativity would just come easily. Everything just felt easy and effortless. And I would manifest some pretty incredible writing within that space of time. And it may be that actually I perhaps had even less time than when I was telling myself I only have 30 minutes. But because I'd completely taken away that lack mindset when it came to time, I did in fact create more space. I created an environment in which I could write from this place of ease and joy and flow. And what's funny is that often we think that we need more time to get the things that we want to do done. But actually, often what we need is a better environment in which to do those things. An environment where we're released from that pressure of time. So give that a go when it comes to the mindset work, when you think about all of the things you feel that you need to do, or perhaps even just want to do to get to where you want to be. How does releasing that pressure of time change things for you? Because you will find, and that this has very much been my experience as well when it comes to the mindset work, if I create a space or a container for myself to do the mindset work without putting pressure on, I've got to get it done within this amount of time, or I've only got this space to do it within. I find that just releasing that pressure, I'm actually able to get so much more from my mindset rituals. Now, something else that's really interesting when it comes to our relationship with time is that often we feel that the things that to be successful in certain things or to achieve certain things, that has a direct correlation with the amount of time that we spend on those things. And this is very much tied in with the masculine world in which we live, in which we're kind of told, like, the more time you spend in the office, for example, the more successful you'll be. The harder you work, the more time you put into your work, the more productive that outcome is going to be. So we're very much caught up in this narrative of spending more time on something equals better. And that isn't necessarily always the case. In fact, this doesn't need to be the narrative. What if we changed the narrative so that actually we believed that we could get exactly to where we wanted to be by doing less, by actually spending less time on those things? When it comes to the mindset work, does it really need to be the case that the more we work on the mindset, the more time we spend working on the mindset, the bigger leaps we make? What if we could still achieve the same transformations and breakthroughs in a shorter space of time? And indeed, that is possible when you start to believe it is possible. If you start to believe that I can just spend 5 minutes a day on my mindset and I can get exactly to where I want to be, if you really believe that, then that can be possible for you. So one thing that really helped me when I was in a job and I didn't have all of the time in the world was to tell myself, like, this is enough. I've done enough today. I've done enough work on my mindset to get me to where I want to be. It's that feeling of enoughness. Because if we're constantly telling ourselves, I could do more, or I need to do more, I wish I had more time to do more, it's again this feeling and energy of lack, which is going to create more lack. So just by telling yourself, I've got enough time to do all the mindset work that I need to do for today, and what I've done today is enough, and truly believing that, you will find that it will be enough. You will find that whatever you do, even if it's just 2 minutes a day, will help you create huge shifts in terms of your mindset. We need to stop believing that everything needs to be this huge, ginormous task and struggle, including the mindset work. And yes, there is so much we can dive into when it comes to the mindset work. But again, we have to believe that what we've done today with the time that we have, how very little that time may be, today, that is enough. Now, as I mentioned, when it comes to mindset work, there is so much that we can be doing, and the work is never done. There's always going to be, more work that you can do when it comes to transforming. You can go deeper. You're going to hit a certain level, and then you'll be required to go back into your mindset in order to get to the next level of growth. So that mindset work is continuous. But when it comes to time and actually achieving more within a shorter space of time, it's really important that you have access to the correct tools and coaching techniques that can actually help you to make giant leaps in terms of your mindset within a very short space of time. And this is when I was developing the Clique Academy, which is our coach training program. This was very much based upon the tools and techniques that had worked for me and that I had got the best results from within the shortest time frame. Because again, I didn't have necessarily an abundance of time. So I wanted the things that were going to work, and they were going to work quickly. Some of my favorites being tools such as NLP, for example. One of the reasons why we decided to train our students in NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, was because I'd found that from just one or two NLP sessions, some of my most even stubbornest, deepest rooted beliefs could be transformed in just one or two sessions. There's some incredibly powerful NLP techniques that will help you really shift those beliefs in, as I said, just a few sessions. Now, contrast that with something, let's say, for example, affirmations. I love affirmations as a way to really reprogram your subconscious mind, and I believe that they work. But the issue with things like affirmations is that they do take time. They're not an overnight success story. And they take time, they take repetition, and they take commitment. And I think the issue is for a lot of people, especially those people that don't have a lot of time, if they're not seeing those results quickly, and they're thinking, I've got very little time here, and the time that I'm putting in, I'm doing this thing that I'm not really getting any impact from, it's very easy to then give up. And this is why when people are, let's say, in, a day job, and they start to read the books, or, they start to use these very simple tools such as affirmations, they're excited to begin with, and, they can start to feel the impact of them. But because they don't see that huge transformation overnight, it's very easy to just give up on them and just to think, oh, well, maybe that's not working for me. And they fall off the bandwagon with their mindset routine. So again, if you have access to tools that are going to give you these quick wins, it gives you that motivation to keep going as well. Another effective tool that I've absolutely loved for giving me those really quick, instant transformations is EFT, Emotional Freedom Technique. Again, another one of the tools that we use within the Clique Academy that our students train in. A big reason for this is because one EFT session, which can take sort of 40 minutes, 45 minutes, that session can have a huge impact on your energy levels, your thoughts, your vibration. I love to use EFT as part of my daily routine because it can be done quickly, and it is a very, very effective tool. So again, being short on time is having access to these tools where you need to do less in order to be able to see the results and transformations that you want. Now, my next tip is more of a practical tip, and this is really around taking any time that you've got within your day and turning it into a spiritual experience. Often we convince ourselves, I don't have the time to work on my mindset, because we think mindset work has to look a certain way. We think that it needs to look like sitting in your sacred space, on your meditation mat, with scented candles and an incense burning. Mindset work is something that you can seamlessly fit into your day if you are intentional about it. So let's say, for example, you are on your way to work and you're stood at the platform and you're waiting for a train. In that moment, you have a choice. You could either just be thinking aimlessly, just letting your mind wander, or you could be really intentional with your thoughts at that moment. and start to consciously think about the life that you are creating. Now, here's the thing with doing this. Here's the thing with being more mindful of where we are in that present moment, what we're thinking about in that present moment. When we're not mindful, our brain tends to gravitate towards negative things. It's called negative brain bias. I've spoken about it on the podcast before. It's how we're hardwired. Back when we were living in caves and we had these real threats to our existence, our brain had to be in that fight or flight mode. It had to be in that survival mode. So it was always expecting the worst as a way for us to protect ourselves, as a way for us to survive. Now, we've evolved since then and we don't have the same kind of physical dangers to us on a daily basis. But our brains still operate in the same way. So our brains are often, if they're left to do what they want, they'll be in this fight or flight mode where we constantly think about the threats to our existence. So these things in the modern day world might be, fears that we have, thinking about things not working out. Maybe we'll be dwelling on an argument we've had. Maybe we start to play up scenarios in our head to be far worse than what they actually need to be. So this is if your mind is left to its own devices. But if, let's say, you're waiting on the platform for your train on your way to work and you decide, okay, I'm going to spend the next minute thinking about my perfect day, for example. And in that moment, you go into your imagination, you start thinking, where am I waking up in the morning? What do I feel like? What's the first thing that I do? What does my mindset routine look like? Who do I connect with first thing? What work am I doing? What do I have for breakfast? What do I wear? How do I carry myself? If you start to go into your imagination and live out the details of your dream day, what you're doing is you're telling your subconscious mind that this has already happened. The subconscious mind can't distinguish between things that you imagine and things that are actually real. So just by playing out that scenario in your mind, you're telling your subconscious mind, this is already my life. And what happens within our subconscious, what our subconscious believes, starts to then be mirrored back in our reality. And so this was something I would do. Like when I was on my commute to work, I would start to think, okay, how can I start to live out my dream day as a coach? How can I start to live that out in my mind? And in time, that soon became my reality. Everything that I thought about and daydreamed about became my reality. And you can do this through any part of your day. So maybe you do it in the shower. Maybe you do it when you're, tidying up. Maybe you do it whilst maybe you're going on your morning run rather than just sort of zoning out. You use that as a time to really tune in. So turn those dead moments in your day where you typically zone out or you find yourself just drifting off and thinking about whatever. Be more mindful about those moments and think, well, how can I use this now as time to think about what I want? And that work is important. Yes, of course, doing the real deep inner work, digging into our beliefs and transforming those beliefs and the work we can do around our energy. Yes, often that takes us creating a safe space that we can sit down and do that and really be fully present. But that sort of digging work, often we spend too long in that. We spend too long sort of digging into our wounds, into our limiting beliefs, into our fears, and not enough of projecting into our future. And this is where being mindful with your time and using this dead space can really come in, because we can use this to really project into that future identity, the woman that we're stepping into, the life that we're stepping into. And this work, the great thing about it is that it's fun, it's exciting. Sometimes the belief work, it can be quite challenging. It can be quite painful to start digging into our pasts and uncovering, the parts of ourselves that we really want to release. This work, on the other hand, it is fun. It's thinking about all of the amazing things that we want to have within our life, okay? And we can do so much more of it. And we have the time to do much more of it. Often we tell ourselves we don't, but when we look at our day, there are so many moments where it's just this dead space that we can really utilize. Now, my final piece of guidance on this would be to get some support or accountability when it comes to the mindset work. Because so often we're quite bad at keeping ourselves accountable to the mindset work. We know that it's important, yet often we get stuck in the doing rather than who we are being. We put this emphasis on, oh, it's the action that I'm doing that is more important than the inner work, okay? And so when you have somebody there to support you and keep you accountable, whether it's a coach or it's a coaching community or it's a group of women that are on the same path as you, you will find that you utilize the time that you do have in a much more effective way. And again, when it comes to making huge transformations, a coach is going to help you make huge leaps and bounds in such a shorter amount of time than what you can ever do yourself. So within the Clique Academy, our coach training program, for example, all of our students get access to coaching from our professional coaches, because we know that having just one session with a professional coach can actually take you so much further in such a shorter space of time than perhaps what you could do doing this work alone. So I hope this episode has really helped you to shift your perspective on time. And if you're somebody that's thinking, I wish I had more time, to work on my mindset, remember that, what you are focusing on is expanding. So start to convince yourself and tell yourself that you have all the time in the world, that what you are doing is enough, and everything that you do today is enough to get you to where you want to be. And as I said, definitely keep your questions coming. I absolutely love receiving your messages as well. Thank you so much as well to all of the ladies that have purchased my book, Self-Love and Spiritual Alchemy, which you can find on Amazon. Honestly, it makes my day when I get messages from you on Instagram telling me how much you've enjoyed the book and how much it's really, really helped you. So yeah, it really, really, really means a lot to me. So thank you for all of your support. Again, keep the questions coming. Dani_Watson_coaching. You can find me on Instagram or just come and say hello. So as always, have a wonderful, wonderful week, and I will catch you on the next episode. If you are wanting to build your own successful online coaching business, make sure to check out Freedom, Abundance and Impact, our free 10-day business and mindset course for coaches and aspiring coaches. To access, simply head to wearetheclique.com and click free course in the menu.